Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. A few of you have asked me about this Anthony Joshua thing where he took 4 nights in a darkened room, paid 2 grand to go away up into the mountains. Like I say, he locked himself in, I don't know, some sort of cellar maybe, didn't have any sunlight. People gave him food and water or food and drink, didn't have any interaction with human beings, but it was dark, it was pitch black for 4 days. And they're saying, you know, at the very best, this is an eccentricity, or is it something deeper? Does it show the sort of where his mind's at? Well, if you've watched this channel before, you'll know that yes, I'm not the only one that's been saying this, but Joshua's issues to me personally are psychological, mental, and there is no doubt that such a thing as mindfulness exists. They used to call it visualization back in the day, back in the 90s. Now they call it mindfulness, where you sort of, you lay down on a bed or you go into a room with no one else around and you close your eyes and you imagine yourself, you are in the moment. What has gone before isn't relevant, and what may or may not happen in the future isn't relevant. You concentrate on shedding everything and being in the moment. And it all sounds to some people to be a bit airy-fairy, and certainly in the world of boxing where, machismo and, toughness, mental toughness is sort of presumed. And, the old-timers won't take lightly to this sort of thing. And I'm not that far off being an old-timer myself, but as someone who has not only had some personal issues in the past, going way back to childhood, but also I work with a lot of people who have issues. They have addiction issues, they have homelessness, mental health and all that sort of thing. I work with them on a regular basis. I've discovered, it has been a learning curve for me, that a lot of these tools that are used, they're not all just airy-fairy bum fluff. They're not all just guff. Some of them actually do have some substance and can work for people. You've heard the phrase cognitive behavioural therapy, CBT. The beauty of that is that anyone can use it. Even if you're healthy, you can use it to keep your guard up. You don't have to be an addict. You don't have to be mentally ill. You don't have to, they're very, very easy to understand tools. That's the beauty of it, that people who, have had a rough time of it and perhaps aren't that well educated, or dare I say it, that intelligent, can still understand it and still get something out of it. And it can help people who have been traumatized, all this sort of stuff. Now, having said that, what Joshua seems to have done is a very extreme form of what might be called mindfulness or visualization. I've never heard of anyone locking themselves away for 4 days in a dark room. And in fact, if you'd said that to me before I'd heard of this, I would have said, well, that is a bit extreme. Because it sounds like he's basically put himself in solitary confinement. And solitary confinement, if you know anyone who's been to prison or you know how the prison system works, it's a punishment, locking yourself away especially in the dark, with barely a sort of shard of light coming at you. It's very, very creepy kind of, and it is used in a sense. I mean, I know people who've been in prison and done solitary confinement, and they say it's a form of torture. They've all said that. Oh, it's torture. It's a form of torture because we are pack animals, and as human beings, and we need others, whether we believe it or not. We need to have some sort of social interaction or some sort of interaction with other people. Otherwise, you just go balmy. So I don't know about this. 4 nights in a dark place, away from home. I mean, I understand the idea of shedding everything that's in your head and reflecting and contemplating and rediscovering yourself, your identity, and all of this stuff is definitely valid. And I don't want to come across as being, a Deepak Chopra type. I mean, I think Deepak Chopra talks a lot of crap, to be honest with you, and it's all woo-woo guff. He's almost as bad as the other one. Who's that clown who wrote that atrocious book? The Power of Me or something like that it's called. I wish I could remember this bloke's name because he deserves a slagging. I can't remember his name, but anyway, there's a lot of these self-help gurus, and they're basically full of it. And you know what it stands for, don't you? SH1T. German fella, the other guy. God, I want to slag him up. I can't remember his bloody name. Anyway, he wrote this crap book, which is just the biggest load of word salad guff you've ever sort of read. It's just trash. Push aside all that all those grifters who are all those guru grifters. They are basically grifters who are sort of trying to sound profound and talking a lot and saying precisely nothing. Get rid of all that crap and cut. When you cut to the chase, when you cut to like I say, CBT treatments, and one size don't fit all. This is all about you taking from any kind of treatment what is relevant to you, and then discarding the rest. And what's relevant to you may not be relevant to another person. So I don't want to sort of say to Joshua or anyone who might try this 4-day in a dark room thing, oh, it's worthless, it's useless, it's rubbish. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that I do find it kind of odd, a bit extreme, shall we say? But whether it appeals to you or not, it does kind of illustrate where Joshua is mentally. Because if you feel the need to do something like that, then presumably you don't feel you're in a particularly good place, or you feel you may need that help. You may need that something extreme to sort of get rid of all the cement that's in your head. Siphon it off so that you can see clearly again. And there's no doubt about it that if you look at his recent performances, there's been a lack of confidence, quite an extreme lack of confidence. There's been maybe even a lack of self-esteem, a lack of belief, and I think above all else, a lack of identity. And I wouldn't just say identity as a boxer, I'd say identity as a man. I always got the impression, and look, I'm surmising this, so I could be wrong about this, but I always got the impression that Joshua has lost his way. He's had so much pressure, fame, money, all this sort of stuff heaped upon him early on in his career, and he's had to sort of learn on the job and fight all his mandatories and pick up belts, and then the game has messed him around, and people have made fun of him, and people have accused him of being this or that, or even though he's desperately trying to be all things to all people, which is always a mistake because you can never be all things to all people ever. That it seemed to have got on top of him and kind of crushed him to the point that, like, mentally crushed him to the point where he just doesn't know who he is. So I think it's not surprising that he would try to do something like this. That doesn't surprise me at all, because it does illustrate very obviously the type of person he is mentally. He needs the proverbial arm round the shoulder, probably the literal arm round the shoulder as well. He needs someone to tell him what to do. You see it in the corner. You see it when he fights, when he goes back to the corner. He wants to be told what to do exactly. He's not like a Tyson Fury who thinks on the hop, and can riff off other people, and even as well versed or as well illustrated and well promoted as Tyson Fury's mental health issues are, and as contradictory a character as he obviously is, when he gets in that ring, that's his safe haven, and he can sort of feel natural. It's like he's in his living room almost. He thrives on pressure. The only thing Tyson Fury fears, I think, is losing, not other people. With Joshua, it's probably, he has lost 3 times now, but it's probably a loss of self, a loss of his persona as a man. So I don't think this is surprising that he's done this sort of thing. I've always said he needs a very good sports psychologist. One, not a fleet of them. Don't keep chopping and changing like you're doing trainers. Keep them. One good sports psychologist who we can talk to. Because look, I've had counselling myself in the past, and I went into it. I first had counselling in 1995, and I went into it thinking it wouldn't do me a blind bit of good, and I loved it. I thought it was great. But I had a very good counsellor. Bringing it right up to date, I've had problems in recent months. There's some issues going on with me, which are, affecting me, shall we say, external things that are affecting me. And what I like to do is I like to get out of where I'm living right now, go abroad or go out of town, whatever, go somewhere where no one knows me, somewhere which I don't know, where I don't know the area, and just float around. And I can get my head together by simply walking around. I like a bit of nature, I like a bit of quiet, like a bit of peace and quiet, but I also like cities that I'm not familiar with, going down this narrow alleyway, seeing what's around here, stopping off at a cafe, going for a meal. I like to getting away from everything, and so when you're away, you can actually see your life from the outside as if you stepped out of yourself. So I do understand what Joshua has done. And it's kind of similar to what I would do, and it's similar to what a lot of people would do. It's just far more extreme to go up in the sticks, up in the mountains, have no light for 4 days. It all seems very, yeah, very, very. But I don't know. What do you think about this? Leave your comments below. I'll give you my 2 cents worth, but I'd like to hear your opinions as well. Do you think it would do him any good? Might do. As a person, yeah, I think it would do him some good. It would do him some good. As a person, as a fighter, I'm not so sure. But leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the subscribe button. Takes a second. Please do it. And the thumbs up as well if you don't mind. And like I say, thanks for your time. I'll read your comments and answer them. And bye for now.